This plant was thriving in October. By December it looked like this. Same watering schedule, same light, same care routine. So what changed? Your heating system turned on, and these 5 houseplants can't survive it. I killed 17 plants my first winter in a heated house before I figured this out. Here's what's happening. Your heating system drops humidity from 50% down to 20–30%. That's drier than the Sahara Desert. It creates invisible hotspots within 6 feet of every vent, and it speeds up water evaporation by 3 to 4 times. So if you have any of these 5 plants near a heating vent, or in a room with forced air heat, they're in danger right now. Let me show you exactly which plants, what the damage looks like, and how to save them before it's too late. Plant number 1, the peace lily. You know this one. Dark green leaves, white flowers, sold everywhere as a low-maintenance beginner plant, except it's not low maintenance in winter. Peace lilies are tropical rainforest plants. They need 50 to 60% humidity to survive. Your heating system drops humidity to 20 to 30%. That's a 50% reduction. Within 2 to 3 weeks, you'll see brown, crispy leaf tips. Then the edges turn yellow. Then entire leaves collapse. And here's the tricky part. This looks exactly like under-watering. So most people water more, which causes root rot. And then the plant dies anyway. Here's what you do instead. First, move it at least 6 feet away from any heating vent. Use a tape measure if you need to. This is critical. Second, mist the leaves every morning. Not the soil. The leaves. This replaces the humidity the heating system steals. Third, set it on a pebble tray. Fill a shallow tray with pebbles. Add water until it's just below the top of the pebbles, then set your pot on top. As the water evaporates, it creates a humidity bubble around your plant. Do these 3 things, and your peace lily will not only survive winter, it'll actually bloom. Plant number 2, the Monstera deliciosa. Those huge split leaves that are all over Instagram. This is the plant that made me realize heating systems were the problem. Monsteras are from Central American jungles. They're used to consistent 70-degree temperatures and high humidity. Your heating system creates temperature swings, 68 degrees when the heat's off, 75 degrees when it kicks on, back down to 68, up to 75. These temperature fluctuations stress the plant, and stressed plants can't regulate water properly. You'll see the leaves develop brown spots, not on the edges, in the middle of the leaf, like someone took a cigarette and burned holes. Then the stems get soft and bendy, then leaves start dropping. Here's the fix. First, move it away from heating vents and exterior walls. Both create temperature fluctuations. Second, reduce watering by 30 to 40%. If you watered every 7 days in summer, water every 10 to 12 days in winter. Third, wipe the leaves down once a week with a damp cloth. This removes dust that blocks light absorption and adds a tiny bit of humidity. And fourth, if you see brown spots starting, cut that leaf off immediately. The damage won't reverse, and leaving it on wastes the plant's energy. Your Monstera will go semi-dormant in winter. That's normal. Don't panic if it stops putting out new leaves until March. Plant number 3, the snake plant. Also called mother-in-law's tongue. This is the plant everyone says is indestructible. It's not in winter. Snake plants are from West Africa. They're used to dry conditions, which is why everyone thinks they're low maintenance. But here's what people don't understand. In their natural habitat, temperatures stay consistent. 75 to 85 degrees year-round. Your heating system creates cold pockets. The soil temperature near an exterior wall can drop to 55 degrees at night. Cold soil plus wet roots equals root rot. Every single time. You'll see the leaves get soft and mushy at the base. They'll fold over. They might develop a weird wrinkled texture. And once a snake plant gets root rot, it's almost impossible to save. Here's how to prevent it. First, move it away from exterior walls and windows, at least 3 feet. Cold radiates through walls even if you can't feel it. Second, water only when the soil is completely dry 2 inches down. Stick your finger in. If you feel any moisture, don't water. Third, use room temperature water, not cold tap water. Fill your watering can the night before and let it sit. And fourth, if you see any soft, mushy leaves, cut them off at the base immediately. Don't wait. The rot spreads fast. Snake plants can go 4 to 6 weeks without water in winter. Underwatering is always safer than overwatering. Also called elephant ear, these are the dramatic plants with huge, arrow-shaped leaves, and they are drama queens in winter. Alocasias are from Southeast Asian rainforests. They need 60 to 70% humidity. Consistently, your heating system drops humidity to 20 to 30%, and that's a 60% reduction. Alocasias respond by going dormant. All the leaves die back. The plant looks completely dead. Most people throw it away at this point, but the bulb underground is still alive. The problem is, if you keep watering a dormant alocasia, the bulb rots, and then it actually is dead. Here's what you do. First, accept that your alocasia might go dormant. This is normal. It's not dying, it's sleeping. If the leaves start yellowing and dropping, let them. Don't try to save them. Cut them off once they're completely yellow. Second, once all the leaves are gone, stop watering almost completely. Water just enough to keep the soil barely moist. Maybe 1 tar 4 cup every 3 to 4 weeks. Third, move it to a cooler spot. 60 to 65 degrees is ideal. A basement or spare bedroom works great. And fourth, in February or March, move it back to a warm, bright spot and resume normal watering. It'll wake up and put out new leaves. If you want to prevent dormancy, you need a humidifier. There's no way around it. Set it to 60% humidity and run it 24/7. Boston ferns, maidenhair ferns, bird's nest ferns. All of them. If you have a fern and you have forced air heating, I'm sorry. This is going to be rough. Ferns are ancient plants. They evolved in humid, shaded forest floors where the air is constantly moist. Your heating system creates the exact opposite environment. Dry air, temperature fluctuations, forced air movement. Ferns respond by crisping up. The edges turn brown. Then entire fronds die. Then the whole plant looks like a brown, crunchy mess. And here's the worst part. Once fern fronds turn brown, they don't recover. You have to cut them off and wait for new growth. But new growth won't come if the air is still too dry. Here's your only real option. First, move your fern to the most humid room in your house. That's usually the bathroom or kitchen, somewhere with natural moisture in the air. Second, mist it twice a day, morning and evening, every single day. Set phone reminders if you need to. Third, group it with other plants. Plants transpire moisture. When you cluster them together, they create their own little humid microclimate. Fourth, run a humidifier within 3 feet of the plant. This isn't optional for ferns. You need one. Set it to 50 to 60% humidity minimum. And fifth, cut off any brown fronds immediately. Cut them at the base. This redirects energy to healthy growth. Honestly, if you don't want to deal with all this, move your fern to a terrarium or cloche. The enclosed environment maintains humidity naturally. It's the easiest solution. Okay, so what if your plant is already showing damage? What if you're watching this and thinking, oh no, my peace lily looks exactly like that? Here's your emergency rescue protocol. Step 1. Assess the damage. Pull your plant out of its pot. Yes, actually take it out. You need to see what's happening with the roots. Healthy roots are white or light tan. They're firm. Root rot looks brown or black. Mushy. And it smells bad. Like swamp water. If more than 50% of the roots are rotted, I'm sorry, but the plant probably won't make it. If less than 50% are damaged, you can save it. Step 2. Remove damaged parts. Cut off all rotted roots with clean scissors. Cut back to healthy white tissue. Then, cut off any yellow, brown, or damaged leaves. Don't leave them on. They waste the plant's energy. For peace lilies and monsteras, you can cut pretty aggressively. They'll bounce back. For snake plants and alocasias, be more conservative. They recover slower. Step 3. Repot correctly. Get fresh, dry potting soil. Don't reuse the old soil. It might have fungus or bacteria. Choose a pot that's only slightly bigger than the root ball. Too much soil holds too much water. Make sure it has drainage holes. This is non-negotiable. Plant it, but don't water it yet. Let it sit for 2 to 3 days. This gives the cut roots time to callus over. Step 4. Create recovery environment. Move the plant to bright, indirect light. Not direct sun. Stressed plants can't handle intense light. Keep it away from heating vents, at least 6 feet. If it's a tropical plant, peace lily, monstera, alocasia, fern, set up a humidity tray or run a humidifier nearby. Water lightly after 2 to 3 days, just enough to moisten the soil, not soaking wet. Then wait. Recovery takes 3 to 6 weeks. You won't see new growth immediately. Be patient. If you follow these steps, you've got about a 60 to 70% success rate for saving damaged plants. Alright, let's bring this all together. Here's your action plan for the next 24 hours. Action number 1, walk around your home with a tape measure. Identify every heating vent. Move any of these 5 plants at least 6 feet away. Action number 2, get a hygrometer. They're $10 on Amazon. Measure the humidity in the rooms where you keep plants. If it's below 40%, you need to add humidity. Action number 3, check your watering schedule. If you're still watering as often as you did in summer, stop. Reduce frequency by 30 to 40%. Action number 4, inspect the bottom of every pot. Make sure there are drainage holes. Empty any standing water in saucers. Action number 5, set up pebble trays or humidity trays for your tropical plants. This is the easiest, cheapest way to add humidity. Do these 5 things today, and your plants will make it to spring. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 plants do you have, and which mistake were you making? Drop a comment right now with the plant name, and I'll give you personalized advice for your specific situation. I'm responding to every single comment in the first 24 hours. And if you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button. Every week I break down one simple change you can make to keep your plants thriving. No judgment, no overwhelm, just practical solutions that actually work. Next week, I'm covering how to repot houseplants without root damage. You don't want to miss that one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.